Alright, this video is going to show you how to complete side 2 and also the completion of side 3. So I have side 2 done here. I'm going to pretty much show you how I kind of got to this point. And I'm going to start by creating a new side 2. So create, I'm going to call mine side 2.2 because it's my second one. Obviously yours would just be side 2. Now, before I do anything, make sure you go up here to the document menu. Since we're working in millimeters, change it to millimeters. Okay? And, obviously if you're working in Inventor, make sure that you have chosen a metric part file. But I'm going to go ahead and start my sketch here on the front, get rid of my plane, and make sure it's flat. And then I'm going to go ahead and make the rectangle, the overall space I'm going to be working on. And I'm going to use a center point. And I'm just going to go 248 by 110. And I mean, technically you don't have to use that center point. You could just make a rectangle off of this, like this, if you wanted to. I mean, it's really up to you. It still works the same way. So 248 and then 110. Only difference is like kind of where it's placed, but I'm gonna go ahead and make it like this for this time. And then I'm going to start with the triangle that we have right here. It's essentially a triangle, but it's got a rounded edge on it. Then we'll do this one in the center, and then we'll do this one over here on the right last. With this one, it's pretty straightforward. We have a line going this way and a line going this way. They don't give us the distance because there's a fillet on the end of these. But if you look at the radius that they give us for this arc, and you follow it, it goes all the way right here and all the way up here. So that's going to be the distance of our line. So I'm going to make a line that goes over 67. And I'm going to do the same thing, another line that goes down 67. And I have my starting area. Now, before I do anything, I am going to take this and drag this down and put it here because mine, I don't know why it went up, but if it does go up, just drag it down. And then I'm going to dimension this line away from this edge, 16, which is what they give us right here. And then I'm going to dimension away from this edge, 25, which they give us right here. So I'm going to set this to 25. And the beginning of this piece is in the right spot. Now all I have to do is put my arc on there, which has a radius of 67. So from one point to the other, click and then hit 67, and it places it correctly. We're going to go ahead and fillet the edges, which have a radius of 5, and that's going to be the same as this one right here. So we're going to go up here, click on these two. It's already set to 5, so we're just going to go ahead and click on these two, set them to 5, and same thing with this one. So we have pretty much this shape is done. It's in the correct place, and it has all the measurements that were required on this one. Now, this next one that we're going to be making, okay, is essentially a triangle as well, but it gives us a distance of 50 millimeters going this way and then 72 going up. So we're going to go ahead and make one that goes 52, or no, I'm sorry, 50. And then we're going to make one that goes up 72. So we have that one in place. Then we're just going to dimension this piece away from this line, 19, like it tells us down at the bottom right here. The other thing that we are going to do is dimension this line away from this line right here, because they tell us right here that it is supposed to be 143 away. So 143, and this will put the shape in the right spot. And then all I have to do is connect these two. I don't have to worry about the angle or anything like that. And yes, I know it's a lot bigger than it should be, but when I apply the fillet to it, and the fillet down here, and the fillet right here, you'll see that it's now the appropriate size, and it's pretty easy and straightforward. The next one over here is not all that complicated. what we're going to do is I'm going to make this line that they give us right here, which is 73.5. So it's going to go up 73.5. And then I'm going to dimension. Actually, I'm going to put a line right down the middle. It doesn't have to be a very big line. I'm just using this to kind of dimension off of. I'm going to dimension it from here to here. And that dimension right there is 55. So, I mean, technically it's right down the center, so you could just throw it in the center if you wanted to. It's pretty much your call. But I'm going to go ahead and start making the lines going this way. I've got a line that goes here. Actually, let's do this first. I've got a line right here that I'm going to make that is... I kind of want to do this a little bit differently. Yeah, we'll do it this way. I'm going to go ahead and make this line right here. And the first thing I'm going to do is make it 46. And then I'm going to drag this dimension out of the way. Let's go ahead and go back, and we're not going to do that. We're going to make a measurement. I'm going to make a line that goes... They don't give a measurement for this one, so we're going to go ahead and just do this and make it 46 away from here. So that way we have the distance. But I'm going to go ahead and make a line that goes from here to this point, and then I'm going to dimension it and set it to 70 degrees. This is not the only way to do it, okay? There is other ways that you can do this. I think the first time I did it a totally different way, so it doesn't really matter. But I now have that piece in place, and then I'm going to trim off the excess piece that I have here. And then I'm going to fillet these edges, which have a radius of 5. So these ones are 5. I accidentally clicked on the wrong line, so we'll do that again. So I now have that piece done, and it's in the appropriate area. I just need to make sure that I also have it dimensioned away from the edge right here, which is 25, so that it moves it forward a little bit. And then I have a dimension 55 from there. So everything should be good. I have all the dimensions that they provided. And then you can finish this one, and you can extrude it. Now the extrusion on this one, we're using the measurements over here that they give us, which is 10. So I'm going to extrude just this instead of the shapes, and we're going to set it to 10. And I'm going to hit OK. Now, before we move on, you'll notice that if I go to the side view, if you haven't done this with the other ones, that they are rounded at the top and the bottom. That is because they have a fillet of 5, basically half of basically the radius of this distance going across this diameter. So we're going to go to the 3D fillet, set it to 5, and we're going to rotate, and we just want these top pieces like this. And this will give us that rounded edge. And then after we're done with that one, we also want to fillet. You can see it right here. Technically it's a chamfer, but you could chamfer it and set it to 1. You can do distance and angle like they have right here, and just chamfer it. It will chamfer around the entire edge for you. And you do the same thing right here, and you hit OK. So then you have the chamfer on those pieces. Also, don't forget the pieces right here. I'm pretty sure that they're rounded in the original ones. I know that they're rounded here, so yeah, it looks like all of them are rounded just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and, if you haven't already done so, put like a 1mm fillet on these. And with OnShape, it does the entire thing. With Inventor, you might have to go around and click all the edges. So that might be one of the only differences. So you hit OK with that, and then that shape is finished. And then obviously, you give it a color or change the material if you're using Inventor, but then that shape is completed. Now, with regards to shape number 3, okay, I'm going to open up the one that I have, but I went ahead and I've got a sketch. I'll go back into it. I created my 248 by 110 work area, and then what I did from here was I essentially used the ellipse tool, and you guys have the ellipse tool in Inventor, but I made it an ellipse, and I did it lined up with this right here. So I'm going to show you by deleting this one. So what I did was I made a line so that I had a starting point. So I made this little line, and I'm using this as my starting point. So just a tiny little line that I dimensioned away from here, 22.4. And then I also dimensioned it from the top, 62, just like this. Now from here, I also made a line going at an angle that was the distance of this ellipse, which was 72. So I made this 72, and then I dimensioned the degrees on it at 60. So from here to here was 60. Once I had that in place, I used the ellipse to go from here, from the center of this one, and lined it up just like this. And then I made sure the distance was 72 for that one, and then for the outside it was 50. And yes, you're going to get these red things that are popping up. It doesn't matter. It's still in place and it will still work. See, if I was to finish this and hit extrude, I can still, cut those pieces out or whatever. But I have that piece in place, okay? And if the red is bothering you, I think you can delete the original line that we put in there and it'll go away. All right. But for now, I'm going to leave it there. And I'll get rid of it later. But the next piece I'm going to be making is this one right here. And this one has it has two center points essentially. So you could do it this way. You could make two circles. And let's see, both of these have a radius of 23. So 23 times 2, or you can put the 46 in there and let it be whatever it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to line this one up with it. I'm going to make this one 46 as well. So it's the same size. And I'm going to space them apart from each other, just like it shows right here, 25. So there is going to be some overlap. The next thing that I'm going to do is put a line going from the very top of this one and I want to try to, I don't know why it's doing it, but it should be like right at the top, to the top of this one, but I think it's locking with my origin. So I'm going to disable the origin so it's gone for a minute. Oh, it's because I did a center point rectangle. So I'm just going to disable this, and then we're going to go ahead and normally when we would make the lines, it would run tangent with it, the edge of it, but for some reason we're not getting a tangent on this. But we'll do this. There we go. So you want to get really close to it, and then this one should tangent. And then I'm going to use the trim tool to get rid of these circles, just like this. So I have basically the same shape that they've got here. I just need to dimension it away from here. Whoops, and I accidentally got a degrees measurement somehow. Try this again. It shouldn't be giving me a degrees measurement. Give me 1 second. Well, let's try it, see what it does. It shouldn't be doing this, but That's what I was worried about. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do it this way. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a line right here in the middle. That is 25. I'm also going to make a line down here that is 25. And I'm going to dimension this line away from here, 12. And I'm going to dimension this line away from here, 11.5. And I'm also going to make sure that this is, let's see if I can get this line to line up. There we go. And I'm essentially going to use this as the basis for creating my point. I don't think you'll have this issue in Inventor, but I don't know. I mean, technically you shouldn't have this issue in Inventor. Sorry, this is supposed to be 23. So I'm going to go ahead and make this circle as well. And then I will put the line on the top right here and make it run tangent. So we have that one. So again, I'm going to go ahead and trim all this excess off. And I've got these extra dimensions. I guess they're not necessary. And then the only thing that we have to do is move this center point away from here with the dimension tool, and it should be at 107.5, and it will move it over for us. So this one's in a good spot for us. The next one that we have to make is this Pac-Man one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a circle that the original radius for this is 35. So we're going to hit 35 times 2, make our 70, and then we're going to go from the center point, which they give us right here to here, is 51. And from here to here is 55. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make a line from here to here, and I'm also going to make a line from here to here. It doesn't really matter the distance because we're just going to fillet the edges, and they have a radius of 5. So we're going to fillet here to here and set it at 5. We are going to trim this piece off, and then we are going to fillet this one to 5 and this one to 5. And then it gives us that piece, and it's all lined up. So you're going to finish the sketch, hit extrude, and we're only going to extrude this portion and set it to 10, just like with the other one. We are going to round the top edges at 5. And then we are going to throw a chamfer distance to angle and set it to 1. And we will do this one and this side. Make sure, remember, Inventor, you might have to select all the sides. OnShape is selecting them by itself. And then a little 1mm fillet on the shapes in here. And like I said, Inventor, you probably have to select all the parts. OnShape is kind of doing it for us. Let me just hit OK. So then we get that one, and then side 3 is completed.